Christian Marauder show today. Running just a little bit late. Had to take a little detour today. Had something come up, kind of delayed me for a half hour to get here, and so I'm back on. I would love to play the introduction for you all and get all that going, but unfortunately, when I ran the introduction last time, the thing got messed up, and I couldn't run it. So let me see if I can get this lighting a little bit better. No, that lighting is not showing too good. I'll have to leave it. Oh, that's part of the cloud behind me. Okay, I thought something else was going on. Yeah, there is something over where side? Oh, it's this side. Okay, don't know what that is or the cause of it. Maybe I should try another. Let me try another. Let's go back to another background. I can do a night background. How's that? This is still a little bit. That's a wire that draped down me. Okay, I do a night background. Let's see. Do a nicer background. I'm just kind of looking. That kind of looks neat. Yeah, let's go to a more cheery. I'll go back to this background. I always like this one. So I'll go back to that one. That's the advantage of having a green screen. Anyway, I'm glad you're all here today because we're going to be talking about a subject today, and I'm just going to kind of jump into this because of the sake of time. So as you missing, if you don't come in right on time, just bump it up a couple minutes and we'll get started. But or you'll have to watch it when I end because I got a meeting I want to head off to, hopefully, if I can. So just got back from the doctor's office, had another incident, and had to go to do some blood work. Nothing serious. It's just I was scheduled to have a blood test anyway, so it was today. I didn't realize the time, and so the doctor was simply a follow-up, and the blood test was already arranged. So, and that's why I'm a half hour late. I said 4 o'clock, but I was waiting for the blood draw. My miscalculation in time. So I'm glad you all are coming on. So we're going to kind of get started because we live in a world that's going crazy. We're seeing the destruction of our national heritage, who you are as a people. The people in the UK, you can't be a Brit. Uh, it's almost like you're being punished for crimes you never committed, while other people who come into your country get off scot-free. They get all kinds of perks and benefits, but if something happens to you and yours, you know, the old federal government thumbs their nose in your face and gives you $750 and calls it good and that's it. And so you're out of everything. So, that's just one of those interesting things in times we live in. And we got to ask ourselves some serious questions like, why are we seeing these things? So that's what we're going to address today. I got quite a few slides I'm going to go through today because what we're seeing today happen in the world, folks, is Luciferianism. And some people go, well, you're getting off in conspiracy whack job stuff. No, just look around. Why are we hate our own national heritage? Why are we erasing our history and changing our history? Why is it all about equity, inclusion, and diversity? Why is it that? It's never been that way before. We always believe in equal justice under the law, but that's being erased for equity, where everybody has to come to the same. So those who have must pay out everything they own to those who not, to level the playing field. So basically everybody's poor except for the policymakers and the politicians who are advocating, and the World Economic Forum and others who are advocating the equity thing. They keep all their money. They're not going to keep 10% and give for equity's sake to level the playing field. So these people are a bunch of hypocrites. So how do you explain it? This is evidence of Luciferianism. The last video in parts 5 and 7, I showed you that there are um, an intellectual elite here, and that is looking. They're in the halls of government and power. They meet at places at the Groovy Grove in the Redwoods in California. There, they meet on islands where where old Epstein used to roam around, ranches, farms, wherever buildings like Podesta would say, go ahead and join us in a spirit cooking thing. So there's evidence enough because some of these people are high rollers in finance and industry, and they're involved in some very dark stuff that nobody talks about. And it's called Luciferianism. It is real. If you're a Christian, we battle we're called the spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, uh, a host of wickedness in heavenly places, and rulers of darkness. Okay, and God gives us the armor of Himself, the armor of God. We have spiritual weapons, spiritual warfare to combat this stuff. And I want to kind of develop this. This particular video could end up being a two-part part because it's a very deep subject, because I'm talking about how Luciferian heavily influences our world today, how it deceives, how it blinds, how it gaslights, how it convinces people to despise God in order to bring his creative order and his design to an abrupt end. And why is that? We're going to look at that in a little bit today. Much of what we're witnessing about the destruction and tearing the fabric of our culture, grooming our kids, having them alter themselves at a young age, and you can't do anything about it. What's going on? Well, that bears testimony of this, that there is a Luciferianism. So how do they get by with it? How do they do it? Well, they use normal scientific methods, normal math calculations and algebra, high physics and stuff like that to make calculations. They use it through the sciences, technology, and they especially like to use this through psychology. So what am I talking about? How could possibly Luciferian, using natural science, experimentations, medications, psychology, uh, arts, entertainment, so forth, how can they use these things in a natural way to get their message across? And yet they keep it secret, because if the people knew their message, you would say they're crazy, which they are. They're insane to believe this stuff. But they're true believers. You're dealing with true believers, because the devil and his cohorts like to pick people who are in the upper echelon of society, basic corporate elites, people who are ruthless and to have a ruthless will to achieve power, or the ruthless will to be somebody important. So the devils know humanity is weak in that area, and so they find these people because they've already been in families or industry, or pulled themselves from the bottom to the top. And so that's what they're looking for. H.P. Blavatsky, Madam H.P. Blavatsky, was of the upper Russian aristocracy. Okay, and then came over to the United States. Then you have Alice Bailey, was a very upper class thing, a woman raised her father was Anglican. She was suicidal. She wanted to be somebody. She felt like she couldn't get out of it, and she claimed that, I think she claimed that she tried to commit suicide 3 times. Excuse me. And after that, her parents died, and so one thing, her mom died first, and her dad died. Then she went out to the country to live with a wealthy person out there, their relative, and that's where she had an encounter with a spirit being coming across, looking like a man, who she calls the master, and began telling her that she would be important, that she would channel a plan. And so the occult world does that. They work. The demonic world makes contact with these people. They set them up. They're looking for upper class people who have a drive, and they use that, folks. They trust me that they have been around this for a lot longer than we have been alive, and they know what they're doing. Too bad the church doesn't either. The church, by and large, does not understand how the occult world operates. And sometimes they go into battle the occult world with one arm tied behind their back, because it's all bound up in pride. And you go after in proudful position, I'm going to kick, whatever. You're going to be kicked by the enemy. Once you have pride, you open that door for the devil. So when the Lord tells us in Luke, and Luke's gospel, that we have all authority has been given unto us to cast out devils, to no works of the enemy will hurt us. But below that, it basically says, do not rejoice in this, that the enemy is subject to you, but rather rejoice, your name is in the Lamb's book of life in heaven. Rejoice in that. That means be humble. Know that this power is not yours. It is on loan from God to you, and you have it. Just don't get prideful. So, how do they use like normal science, or maybe, for example, psychology, because psychology was very big in Luciferian circles? And well, one of the methods, there's many, 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 many methods, is predictive programming. Yes, predictive programming is the next step, or the next stage up from behaviorism. The old behaviorism, Pavlov's dog, ring the bell, the dog salivates because he's going to be fed. And you use that model. Behaviorism is used to treat phobic disorders, like you're afraid of a spider. You're introduced to a spider across the room, and then slowly the spider gets closer. Then you lose your fear, let the spider crawl on your hand, and you're supposedly free of your phobic phobia and or whatever. That is behaviorism, but predictive programming is a step used to introduce to an entire population, slowly over time groom you to accept new norms, values, and ideas. They do it in a very subtle manner. For example, the old show Three's Company. Okay, I can go back to Andy Griffith when Barney had to dress up like a woman or something. I can show you these things, but you go over time to Three's Company. There was a guy who lied to be able to get rent to go to college with two girls in there, and he had to say that he was the most favored group, and then you had the old-fashioned people who didn't like that. That's the only way they let him stay there. And so that kind of like is a frog in boiling water approach. So you begin to accept more and more deviant behavior. Now that look at how what they do in entertainment industry, the music industry and stuff. It's no longer being bad, tough, and cool. It's about weird stuff. And next thing you know, you see we joked about it. Next thing you'll see, these people have a bone through their nose, and yeah, probably that'll be next. And so, it influences different things. And the reason Luciferians like this, because in a subtle, slow, methodical, well calculated and calibrated manner, with everything uh, predicted, because they contact these spirits and they channel like Alice Bailey did, and some of the newer theosophists, which are the white magic people, to lay out the plan. And so they're following a well designed plan. And the Bible, tells us not to be uh, unaware of the devil's wiles and his schemes, and church largely is unaware of the devil's schemes because they think they know it all. They get in that pride, and bam, they get hit. So I'm tired of seeing intercessors getting whacked on side of the head by the enemy. So you always have to approach this with humility and know that the God has given you power. It's on loan from him, and don't let it go to your head. And so this is how they work. They want to slowly housebreak humanity to become sheeple to them. Basically, um, they want to have people slowly accept the Luciferian worldview, which is decidedly spiritually collectivistic. It's a spiritual fascist communist glob of glue. And so you have, and when I said pure spirit communism or fascism, that means all the bad parts have been removed. And that's the dark side. That's the dark side of fascism and communism. But the good side is just the ideas. I actually had a professor in college a long time ago. I debated him immensely. He said, I asked him, I go, okay, all you can offer in communism, because you are communist, is that offer ideas. And he says, yes, that's how the whole thing works. We offer ideas, we shoot it out. Uh, you know, the the haves versus the have-nots, for example. We rile up with ideas the have-nots to go against the haves, and we bring the system down. I go, so all you have is ideas to feed the people, because after your system is vacuous. That's what I told him. Very vacuous. It'll collapse on itself. Because if you make, for equity's sake, everybody equally poor, that means you're only enriching an upper class. So you have a two-tiered society, two-tiered law, and you're making the lower classes pay for the excesses of those above. And basically, that is what this is all about. Um, that's what equity is about. You sacrifice everything, make right all the wrongs of humanity ever done, Jesus Christ did that for us on a cross. Hallelujah, offers forgiveness. That's why Christianity is far superior to any other world's religions, including Luciferianism. And because we offer forgiveness, no, they offer revenge. And you'll never be made right. You'll never be able to submit with these groups of people. So they're all about housebreaking people to accept this collectivist new mindset for a better world. What am I talking about? So what I'm talking about is, like I said before, let me, I will rephrase it this way. Could there be a secret group of elitist minded souls using predictive programming along with other things, with other occultic techniques, dark arts, and white craft to steer people into 15-minute cities, to get a mark, to change perception of what right and wrong is, calling evil good and good evil? Is that possible? Yes, and I mentioned these folks in part 5 and 7 and where they meet at. It's well known, it's established. So there are those at the top of the pyramid. That's what I want to talk about here right now. I want to go to this pyramid that I showed you before, just as a short review here, so you can see what I'm talking about here. So what you have here on the top of the pyramid, you have an all-seeing eye. And I got another slide. I want to take the eye off so you can see what's actually going on. So you have people behind this eye, and the eye represents Luciferian illumination, insight into the divine mind of the devil, to get your marching orders how to what this back of the dollar says. So the very few at the top, these very few, or maybe 200 or 300 of them, maybe at the top, and then the rest, maybe a couple of thousand, maybe 3,000 in the entire world on top of this thing, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, don't know, no one knows. No one knows really who they are unless you go look at the books and stuff where these people meet. You'll find out who they are. So the very few at the top are getting a Luciferian illumination because the devil has favored our undertakings, or he has favored our undertakings. Anut Copus, that's what that means. And to use the bricks below to build a new order of the ages, a novus ordo seclorum. So a new order of the ages. That is Luciferianism. That's what it's about. That's what it's really about, is that new order of the age. So these people are waiting, watching, implementing, testing, initiating, and manipulating those below to do their bidding. As I said before, these folks meet at places like the Bohemian Grove and other places like that. And they do. And they're there. You can get their names, and other places they're pretty silent about. You can watch it on concerts, games, sporting events, halftime shows. You'll see this art of initiating humanity along with predictive programming working to housebreak humanity into this Luciferian mindset. So what are they trying to get you to? Well, so how they work is those at the top incur Lucifer's illumination that gives them favor for their undertakings to successfully initiate the bricks below in order to enter into a new order of the age. So eventually all human beings will be liberated back to a pure spirit state. This next slide helps illustrate their game plan through their Gnostic version of creation to complete the destruction of the material world. Now I'm going to go over this in a minute. So I just want to bring this pyramid up so you get the idea. So you have Luciferians with the Luciferian eye, and I put them on number 1 and 2. Okay, these are the true Luciferians. There are not very many of them. They're the dispenser of a Luciferian illumination, knowledge, insight, how to make a better world. Okay, sounds great, doesn't it? And in the second level are Luciferian initiates, key influencers, leaders over seed groups. And then below that are the bricks. You have seed groups that are being initiated into Luciferian thought. They don't know it. They honestly have no clue that they are being initiated. They have good altruistic hearts. They want a better humanity. And these guys talk a good used car salesman game on them. So that's how it works. The groups at the top know what they're doing. They're involved heavily in it. So they're looking for the people in the third row of bricks here to form seed groups. So you begin to spread Luciferian thought down. And then the bricks number 4 are those who know nothing about Luciferianism at all. The seed groups, you might know a little because they're looking for people to initiate up to level 2. But those who know nothing about Luciferian are driven by, I call it a false pseudo altruistic ideology to help the world improve. Nothing wrong with that, but uh, they're going to try, but they get sucked into this Luciferian mindset and they have no clue. It sounds so good. Remember, the devil comes as an angel of light, and so does his minions, promising you liberty, promise you a chicken in pot. Everything is going to be perfect. Everything's going to be beautiful. That's what they say. Then the number 5 group is the uninitiated masses of humanity. And at each pinnacle I put down here for simplicity here is black magic and white magic to create the yin-yang effect of chaos in order to produce a brave new world. I'll talk more about that probably part 2 of this video. Okay, I'm going to go on a roll here, so get ready. I ain't done yet. To accomplish this, they need to get people um, uh, to carry out their plans. A lot of them don't know they're being hoodwinked to carry out their plans, which involves slowly taking over all the cultural mountains of influence. Trust me, there are far more than 7 cultural mountains of influence. We see this in Alice Bailey's writings and such. And what is their objectives here? So before we look at the seed groups, I want to go back and review what Luciferianism is about. It is basically Gnostic. This is a Gnosticism. Gnosticism comes in many flavors, but it goes like this: Lucifer created all the world, and he created a pure spirit state. There was this rebel god who got amnesia. He called him the demiurge. This is the Judaic Christian god, and 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 he decided to make the material world. So Lucifer is viewed as the liberator, So they want to liberate humanity to get them back to a pure spirit state. They have these things called root race stages or evolutionary development of humanity. In order to bring that out, I want to talk about those again. And I spent a lot of time on those. Get back to at least look at in the Occult series of 5, 6, and 7, and you'll get an education and root races. I'm not going to go over a lot of them. I'm going to mention them, but the import here is that it's the same thing. It's how to initiate humanity back to a pure spirit state, to liberate them, because it's all about liberation. And so what happens is Lucifer is, there's 2 sides of the devil. And so both of them are the same size. He's playing humanity. And so he wants to overthrow the demiurge and to get human entities back to become a pure spirit being, because the material world is bad. Materialism, evil. Materialism, capitalism produces materialism, has to be destroyed. You got to have a collectivist mindset. So you all gel in the first root race stage where everybody achieves the will to power and you become little bubbles floating around in the nirvana of the Lucifer's mind. And that's what these people, true believers, in a nutshell, what they believe. It's more complicated than that, but I'm shortening this for you, giving you the Reader's Digest version of it, a brief synopsis of what Gnosticism teaches. And so what it's all about is that you have the world, you have pre-existing mindless human entities. The demiurge captured them and tossed the humanity into the world. Lucifer is here to bring them back. So when people die, they reincarnate. And then I'll explain that in a minute. So how does Lucifer work? He plays both sides. He gets people to play 2 sides to create chaos. Through white magic is mercy, compassion, strength, stability, tolerance, universal, selfless service, and group love, and all that stuff. And Lucifer, the dark magic, black magic, is power, materialism, greed, and glamour, and severity and justice. And you put these 2 together in society to create chaos in order to strip people of the desire for material things. Okay, so they'll gladly give up and become good Marxist communist serfs. Okay. You give everything you own, but the elites above you don't, because they don't have to. Part of the sacrifice of care at the grove, the groovy grove in the redwoods, there is all about the sacrifice of care ceremony. It's like a midsummer night's dream or a Mardi Gras where you enjoy your excess and drunken debauchery and all things materialism. Before and after the care ceremony, you, you slay it, you burn all your cares and all your material cares, and you start over again, because that serves as a reminder to what they're going to do. They want to destroy the material world, but as this chart shows, they have to be antagonistic. One side's the good guys, the other good cop, the other side's bad cop. So they need to play each other. They need to raise money in order to take over the world and take over all the cultural mountains of the influence. These guys have thought it out very well. And so people who are known as reactionary people, they have no problem getting rid of you because they believe that you will reincarnate. So I wrote down here, so when you die as one of these individuals, you will uh, you will come back to life in a pure, existent, mindless state in the heart of and mind of Lucifer, and you'll thank everybody that you made paradise. Wow, it's the nexus for real. It's groovy, man, and you'll thank them for killing you. Yeah, that's why they don't have any qualms about bumping people off, because that's what they believe. Do they all believe this? Probably not. This is the most extreme version. This is the basic version in a nutshell synopsis. And you got to forgive me because it's all I can do in the short amount of time. And I've just taught extensively on it. So what they do in this conflict, they create the chaos, is what they want to do is to get human agents to work for them, just like this graph shows. Get the few at the top. The devil basically has favored their undertakings to use the bricks and people below to build a new order of the ages, a pure spirit state. Okay, and they need seed groups. Okay, that's what all that is about. That's about getting these seed groups here. So we're going to look at these seed groups, and I'm going to go through the seed groups, and you can see of this. This is Alice Bailey Lucis Trust, Catalyst for the New Age. It says the seed groups, these groups are actually intensifying points of life embedded within the new group of world servers. Those are initiated people through which the new types of energy enter into the human race. The energy is Luciferian energy, is energy to change your mind to be good Luciferian collectivist serfs. Okay, basically what it is. Enter into the human race. They are also the germinating points of light that act as illuminated pathways to guide us all into a new era of closer relationships with the spiritual hierarchy of our planet, the principalities, powers, and all the demonic forces. Yep. To better relationships within humanity itself, and an overriding sense of loving global responsibility. I hear Klaus Schwab mouthing off the same stuff. I bet if I was a betting man, I'd bet a lot of money that he is a Theophysist and all his cronies up there. I really do. Luciferians. I'd bet money on it, but I won't. I'm not a betting man. So the the function of these groups is to intuit and anchor new ideas and methods within the consciousness of humanity. In psychological terms, it's called predictive programming. Very slow, methodical thing. You want evidence? I'm giving you evidence. They work on every level of human awareness and activity. Some, like the group of telepathic communicators, function mostly behind the scenes, facilitating a closer vertical rapport with the hierarchy in humanity, as well as the horizontal understanding and integration between the different seed groups. Others, like the group concerning itself with new values and initiatives in education, okay, are clearly evidenced in the creative experiments and innovations in the particular fields that are already producing such good results in various parts of the world. Wow, look at that again. You have a group. I'll go back to this. I use this. Those at the of the top. And I'll go back to this slide where the all-seeing eye is covering number 1 and 2. Okay, those are the ones that have the vertical connection with the spirits to get the marching orders to tell all the bricks below through seed groups how to implant this ideology through to anchor new to give them an intuitive anchor to new ideas and methods within the consciousness of humanity. They work on every level of human activity. They work through telepathic communication with the upper hierarchy. They get their marching orders, and they use natural means. This is how the occult world works, through science, whatever, predictive programming, uh, higher forms of mathematical calculations to do predictions and so forth. This is how the occult world works. Most people think the occult world is sticking pins in dolls and doing that, which it is. I'm not saying it's not. And taking a kettle of eye of Newton stuff, boil oil, boil in trouble, casting, that's part of it. Yeah, but that's not the whole enchilada. That's just a smokescreen to get you distracted from seeing the man behind the curtain, who are at the top of the food chain, where illuminating Lucifer's light to the rest of the people below, as above as below. Okay, so who are these people? Let's look again. Alice Bailey in Rays and Initiations, page 47, PDF. Men of goodwill everywhere, under the guidance of a new group of world servers, that's the initiated people above, will organize themselves into battalions of life, and their first major task must be the development of right human relationship through the education of the masses. This means the paralleling development of an enlightened public opinion, which is, speaking esoterically, right response to the sound which conveys the will of God to the ears of the attentive. Then humanity will indeed move outward from the desert. By the desert, she means materialism, and leaves these materialistic seas behind, and know that God is fire. That He's going to burn and purify you away from your materialism. Again, what I'm trying to say, the true Luciferians dispense the illumination to the second group. The second group goes to the seed groups, and the seed groups steer the cultural mountains, take over the cultural mountains. Well, the groups 2 and 3 uh, help take over the cultural mountains of influence to spread this ideology through the masses, through educational means, through predictive programming, through just brainwashing techniques. Basically, I mean, if they're effective, it's and stuff. So, and those who know nothing about Luciferian are driven by this altruistic ideology. They join in, they don't even know they're being used, and to manipulate the uninitiated masses of humanity to comply with their ideas. And this is what they want to take over. Treaties, White Magic, Alice Bailey. This is out of the hardback um, edition. It is a group that is no esoteric organization of any kind, no headquarters, no publicity, no group name. It is a band of obedient workers and servers, obedient to their own souls, to group need. All true servers everywhere therefore belong to this group, where their line of service is cultural, political, scientific, religious, philosophical, psychological, or financial. They constitute part of the inner group of workers for humanity, and of the world mystics, whether they know it or not. They will thus be recognized by their fellow group members when contacted in casual ways of world intercourse. That's who they are, folks. Look, political, scientific, religious, philosophical. A lot of these people meet at the Bohemian Grove. They meet these places. They know each other. And it's all about creating a better world. Okay. The first group works through governments, through politics, and the interplay between nations is relatively small in number. The second-ray group, who delude and deceive, work through the religious agencies, through mass psychology, and the misuse and misapplication devotion of the arts. They are the largest in number. The third group work primarily through the commercial relationships in the business world and the use of money, using the flow of money and the energy that money has. Um, so they can build up enough capital so they can bring their desires to pass. Again, I want to read this. Alice Bailey, Externalization of Hierarchy. I think this is the PDF. Seed groups. The objective work of seed groups is to familiarize people with the hierarchical plan, the demonic plan, as it is working out today in its time of crisis. We call them seed groups of the new age. They conceal and nurture the germ or seed of the new civilization of the Aquarian age. Perfect. Everything's beautiful. Everything's groovy. The method of communication between the members of the hierarchy is to be externalized eventually upon the earth, and this is one of the tasks of the group, is to help externalize the hierarchy on the planet. Alice Bailey wrote an externalization of hierarchy. In all probability, the year 2025, through these types of people, will be the manifestation of the hierarchy back on earth. We are now in the Jewish year 22525. Okay? Just want to let you know. It might be of service if I outline a little more clearly what the purpose of the new seed groups in terms of the New Age civilization and culture, that is, that the practical results might be envisioned with clarity, and some new ideals emerge as to the quality and the coming of the new world order. I look at all that and I go, wow, how is this really real? Do people really believe this stuff? And when I read it, they have control of the media, they have the control of the arts, they control the flow of the information, they're in the high areas, they are grooming you to accept this worldview of diversity, inclusion, equity, environmental diversity scores. You know, this is good for you, sir, but we don't have to live by it because we don't have equity. We're the good guys. We are here to take the money from you to make right the world, and we just get rich off of you and exterminate you if we don't need you. Yeah, that's the crazy thinking these people have. Again, uh, that's what they do. The Luciferians, they dispense, this is exactly what Alice Bailey said. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You can see it, exactly what they're talking about. That's exactly what they do. And that's amazing thing to see. The founder of Theosophy, we're going to look at this for a second here. Just give me a second here to do something here. Well, folks, the founder of Theosophy is H.P. Blavatsky, or Madame Blavatsky. She codified one of the first ones to get it written. Adam Westphal earlier. Others were involved in this. Jane Lead, if you ever know who Jane Lead is, Jane Lead was a mystic, was used to infiltrate churches to disseminate Gnostic ideas into the church. I'm warning you about that person. And so people follow that and innocently follow it. They're not there. They don't even know they're being initiated. They have good hearts. They're really good Christian people, but they fall into some bad teaching and doctrine. I can't help it, but I'm just saying. So all these people built upon people in the past, but she codified it into one Western mystical thought. These teachings were made public in a book titled Secret Doctrine, which is a schizophrenically written book. It's crazy to try to read it verse by verse. You can't do it. I won't. I just look up things on it through using the search method through the PDF to find out things. Oh, this is sick thinking. But anyway, as what she did is she took all these teachings and stuff, and she modified these with her own connections with the spirit guides that she wasn't connected with. Jane Lee wasn't connected with them, and Westfall, others before that were in connection with spirit guides, who were sent to guide humanity on how to create a perfect world with no wars. It's all peace. It's perfect security, cemented by the force, cemented and controlled by the force of group control to group love and group conformity. Alice Bailey words, not mine. So H.P. Blavatsky states that Lucifer is the only God who can guide humanity into a new age of enlightenment and bliss and free humanity back to their divine pure spirit being form, living in utopic bliss under the devil's total care, because he's the good guy. You help defeat the demiurge, because the God of the God of the Bible is just a big materialistic capitalist. Basically, it's what they break it down in argument. She taught that the light bringer, Lucifer, along with his hierarchy of spiritual helpers, the fallen watchers, would lead humanity into a new era of tolerance, peace, plenty, through secret illumination, or doctrines of Luciferianism, and they would teach humanity step by step how to do this in a logical format. And so with her and others that followed after her, Theosophists, like Theosophists Ruger, Annie Bissett, I think that's how you say her name, Charles Leadbeater, or better, Alice Bailey, and others on up, and up the ranks, even the modern ones now, I forgot someone to put their names down, who channeled a very logical plan to make it all happen, and to make a new age, this new world happen, with a one world ruler to cement all authority to. The idea goes back to ancient Mesopotamian pagan religions. This is a review for many people. And the ancient pagan religions are snippets of ancient Gnosticism. For example, in Mesopotamian lore, Marduk, the dragon, fights Big Bird of Chaos. That's my definition. And he shoots arrows. Arrows represent lineage or people, human arrows, to bring down the chaos monster in order to chop up the chaos monster to create a brand new world. Now it's a pagan idea. There's many and depending where you are in the world, it varies a little bit here and there, but that's a general tenet. The big bird, if you decipher this, would be Jesus Christ, the pre-incarnate Jesus Christ, who created the material world. They want to use their minions, the Theosophists, their white and black magic people to shoot arrows of humanity to take Jesus and chop him up, get rid of God, chop up his order and design, and build a brave new world out of it. Wow, I lost connection there. Sorry, folks. Let me bring myself back up. So, so that's the basic tenet of what they're doing. So the idea is to chop up God's order and design of material world, liberate humanity to return back to pure spirit state because Lucifer's the good guy. That's what these people taught. Uh, Blavatsky did. All the Theosophists did. Yeah, all the world hopes for the one to come, which would be the Antichrist to us, who will lead this mess. So, and Marduk is representation of the Antichrist, who's going in one climactic battle to do this. However, Jesus defeats him, just as Revelations 19 says. You're not going to pull one over God. This concept is actually seen in modern progressive, socialist, communist, fascist, and um, also in the terms and modern lingo of a liberal rules-based order, like the VP of the United States was talking about. We believe in a liberal rules-based world order. That came in, I think, not too long into this man's presidency, or a liberal world order, as General Milley would say. It's the same thing. It is modern progressivism, socialism, communist, fascist, and which involves destruction of materialism, free market capitalism, destruction of the family, chop up the world, chop it up, chop your culture up, your cultural heritage, and that's so you can bring and pull down the demiurge and make them do battle here on Earth for one last battle at the end of what they call the seventh root race stage of evolutionary development, by making chaos happen in the world so that the enemy, their enemy, which is the Judaic Christian God, would have to come back to earth. Well, that happened in Genesis chapter 6. God sent a flood and stopped that. Jesus says, as it was in the days of Noah, start thinking, think out of the box a little bit, folks. Think outside the box. That is the enemy's plan. They want to make humanity, they want to go back to altering humanity. So from this sixth root race stage, which I'll explain in a minute, they want to uh, do that. So in Edgar Casey wrote one of his prophecies that the fifth root race stage, which is the scientific age that we are in right now, will end between 1998 and the year 2014-15. And so with that, all the occult world really got stepped up, especially if they know Alice Bailey saying the year 2025 in all probability, when a manifestation of the hierarchy on earth gets them really cranked up and excited. So they're going gung ho. And so what they're doing is they're trying to alter humanity to make a new humanity 2.0. You heard that before. Look it up. Noah Harari talks about that. Also, a new humanity 3.0. And to make you live longer. It's all for your betterment. It's all beautiful. Don't pay attention to the side effects, that type of thing. And that's exactly what they're doing. And so they are trying to alter humanity again, chimeras, changing your DNA, whatever they're doing. That's their plan. I don't know if they're that successful in this yet, and I don't think that has come yet. But I've seen the plan at the WEF and other places where they talk about how to do this. They're on the threshold of this. They do have chamaras and stuff, pigs with human ears and hearts and so forth, etc., they can use for save somebody's life. So yeah, they have mixed gene pools, two different species together successfully for some time now, especially fruits and vegetables and animals mix their DNA together to make tomatoes that grow and apples that grow in colder environments. Yum yum. So so we always wonder why if your apple tastes a little fishy if it starts to rot. You know why. But anyway, it's a joke. It's a joke. But but what it is they want to pull Jesus back to earth in one climactic battle by making as much chaos and destruction of humanity, so you'll have to come and defend him. Then the Antichrist will defeat him. The book of Revelation is God's answer to this assault. And the church is largely ignorant of the occult version of the story and what they're doing. And so they don't realize what the occult world is. Very scientific model, very refined and sophisticated. They get in all kinds of perverse and gross spell casting ceremonies and stuff like that. The Bohemian Club does plays every 2 weeks, like I said in part 7. They use these plays and they put them in places, maybe on stage at a sporting event or in halftime shows, whatever, maybe a, a Swiftie concert or something, or some rock concert. They put this Luciferian mindset, and you'll see the symbolism over and over again. And that's what they want to bring them down to create this order. They think they are the winners. And what happens at the end of the 7th root race stage is that everything is destroyed and humanity is wiped out, and all humanity, if they're following Lucifer, gel back into the heart of Lucifer and Lucifer's mind, and to this nirvana where you're pure spirit beings as bubbles, and you're just existing in nirvana, nothingness of the devil's mind. Actually, you will be swimming laps in the lake of fire. That's what these people are so deceived. They're true believers. That's what they really believe. And so, the same concept is seen in the works of literature of old, too. It's also seen in H.G. Wells' 1940 book entitled, conveniently, The New World Order. In this book, he promoted a world government, a secular world religion, along with producing a new societal consciousness in mankind. His works mirrors esoteric theosophy to a T. That's white magic for you, those you don't know what white magic is. Its brand of Luciferianism to make a better world, just like Klaus Schwab, old Klausy would say, we are here to make a better world of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So yeah, you own nothing and be happy, and America will no longer be a superpower because you have to destroy your national heritage so you don't interfere with making it this perfect world. We can't have you looking at the past. What was that saying? I can never get it right. Um, we're we're going to be unbound from what has been. Okay, that's what that saying is. That's a saying from Karl Marx, that shedding your materialistic ideas and becoming pure spirit collectivist beings where everybody loves each other and stuff, and it's by force. And they at the top force you to do it. That's the secret to it. That's what Wells was talking about in this, and they achieved this by creating a socialist model of government system to defend human rights by reorienting them, changing them for a new type of human rights. Okay, are you seeing any of that? Where certain groups have more rights than you? Okay. H.G. Wells advocated, for example, a new socialistic cosmopolitan world, a liberal rules-based world order, a government that would right all social ills. They'll do it so through technological innovations. They'll do it through science and so forth, that unifies the world as one through a transitional stages, slow stages, leading eventually to a new order of the age based on global collectivism that is different from material Marxism and Stalinism, communism, and National Socialism, to a new form and spiritual, kinder version of Marxism, Stalinism, communism, purified kinder absolute control over the people. So let's look at how he states this in the book if you want an education. So let's look at his book, The New World Order, page 34. Collectivization means, I kind of shortened this, I didn't want to have a whole quote there. Collectivization means the handling of common affairs of mankind by a common controller responsible to the whole community. It means the suppression of go as you please in social and economic affairs. Okay? So they want to put you in 15-minute cities. You don't have no mobility. It means the suppression of go as you please in social and economic affairs. So if you have digital currency, you can't go outside or you'll be penalized heavily financially. H.G. Wells knows that. He hung out with these people. He was even at the Bohemian Grove. Hallelujah. He's one of the go figure. It means collectivization means it's the abolition of profit seeking and of every device by which human beings contrive to be parasitic on their fellow man. As Wells said, it is the practical realization of the brotherhood of man through common control. That's what I wrote that in there. I forgot to put a parentheses around it or another thing. Wells said later, he said, it is a practical realization of the brotherhood of man through common control. Another phrase that Theophysis used long ago, the brotherhood of man. New Age movement came up with the Christ consciousness. Okay, now you know what it means. And now they call it the Kundalini awakening, the brotherhood of man, unity. Woohoo! Woohoo! Groovy babies, smoke 'em if you got 'em. Wow, you'll feel this group love here. But George can't come over. He's 15 cities away, so he has to turn in somebody so he can get the rights to come over here with us. So yeah, this is what they're leading to. Let's continue looking at some of these other things they're talking about. So to me, this all sounds like the plans of the WEF, the UN, the Rockefeller Foundation. I have ample documents to prove what I say, and so forth. And many who attend Groovy Grove, meet on islands. H.G. Wells begins explaining how this is achieved by revamping the focus of the world affairs. How? Okay. I'll show you. Remember, this is written in 1940. This is a direct quote. The new complete revolution can be defined in very few words. It is A, outright world socialism, scientifically planned and directed. Want any more proof of how the occult world works? Through scientifically pre-programmed things, through psychology, through natural so-called means like Jung, uh, uh, Freud, or others, behavioristic models, whatever. They use psychology. Okay? I'm telling you, you want some documents, it's there in the open for you. Since 1940, he wrote this out. It's been there even before that. Alice Bailey's writings. B, a sustained insistence upon law based on fuller, more jealously conceived resentment of personal rights of man. More jealously conceived resentment of the personal rights of man. It's a sustained insistence upon law based on a fuller, more jealously conceived resentment of personal rights of man. You get new rights. You have to give up your right to liberty, freedom, and happiness, in the pursuit of happiness. You won't have free speech like you think. No. I got something on my tongue. Not at all. You're not going to have that. You're not going to have that in this world. You're not, your right to mobility is going to be curtailed because that's the plan. A sustained insistence upon law based on a fuller, more jealously conceived resentment of personal rights of man. Equity, inclusion, and diversity fit right in there. You don't have a right to live in your own country because your ancestors took the land, despite the indigenous people who lived in the country butchering themselves in warfare like they did, just like the Europeans. So don't judge uh, what happened in ancient times according to the standards of today in Marxism. You're stupid if you do. I'm glad we have a Lord God who judges impartiality with impartiality. He looks at those things and understands. So you got to understand that there's no race, there's no country that's pristine, clear, and clean, and neither will Marxism and the spiritual communism make it clean either, because they have to bump off a lot of people to make it clean. Oh, I forgot. They reincarnate back to a purgatory period, get rid of their thing, and thank everybody for killing them. Yeah, I got that. I got that. But that's a lie from the pit of hell. And you need to know that. So that's the world they have envisioned. They want to make laws so they can break laws, and if you break the laws, you get penalized, and they don't. That's how the game's played. Conceive resentment of the personal rights of man. The Bill of Rights would be totally shredded. Your Canadian rights will be shredded. Your European rights will be shredded, because that is, you have to, for the betterment for humanity. Okay, to make a perfect world. C, the completest freedom of speech, criticism, and publication, and sedalious expansion of the educational organization to ever-growing demands of the new order. So what is that talking about? Completest freedom of speech, criticism, and publication. What does that mean? I'll explain to you what that means. Just hold on to your hat. For them, free speech means free from misinformation and disinformation. That is determined by the government. Speech that is controlled and monitored. No questioning, just trust the government along with its elitist oligarchy, and all will be well. That's the free speech he's talking about. Government decides what is free to speak. That is what it is talking about. Let's go back and look at it again. It's the completest freedom of speech through criticism and publication, sedalious expansion of the educational organizations to the ever-growing demand of a new order. I'll cover that. That's talking about dumbing down society. Okay? And next thing he talks about here, right here, there will be no more day of days when the new world order comes into being. Okay, into being. Step by step, here and there, it will arrive. Even as it comes into being, it will develop fresh perspectives, discover unsuspected problems, and go on to new adventures. The world order will be like science, like most inventions, a social product. An innumerable number of personalities will have lived fine lives, pouring out their best into the collective achievement. Page 102. I don't know if I can go any farther with this like I want it to. I don't want to bore you too much. So basically, H.G. Wells' works encapsulate Luciferian thought and its plan and its goals extraordinarily well, I'm telling you. In fact, the UN, with its charter, was based on this very esoteric thinking. In fact, H.G. Wells' book, The New World Order, 1940, was used along with 18 other advisory texts for the first draft of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, modified further by the United Nations. Huh. Conspiracy? It can't be a conspiracy. I mean, get your tin hat off of your head. Oh yeah. No, people can't be doing this. They don't really believe this stuff. Okay. These basically what I'm trying to show you is that those tenets, the UN and stuff, these expose how the tenets of Luciferianism work by promising a better, more kinder, gentler world, free from all human ills, pure freedom, liberation from the old order, chop it up, and so you can get new beginnings of deeper illumination, governed by a purified collectivist way of living in harmony with a group love, group control, and group conformity to make a new humanity 2.0 able to live in this new collectivist pure spirit state. Like I said, as it was in the days of Noah. Think about it. When people think of the occult, many think of spell casting, divination, enchantments. They think of pins and dolls, oils, boils, and troubles, and stewing kettles, and crazy, harmless people dancing in the woods naked, and saying, "Oh, to each his own." Instead, Luciferian unleashes its craft in logical, scientific, step-by-step methods, well planned in a manner that seeks a betterment of humanity through establishing seed groups to steer everybody involved in the cultural mountains of influence to make a new humanity. I want to end this with this because I want to stop this now. And then I'm going to continue in part 2 because it gets really deep after this. Okay. And so stay tuned. I'll probably do, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. We will do this tomorrow. I don't know what time. It'll probably be sometime in the morning, maybe, or in the afternoon. So stay tuned. But basically, Luciferianism is a well-oiled logical reasoning machine that attacks truth and reality itself. Why? In their view, reality is materialistic because for the true believers, absolute truth is archaic and needs to be changed in order to fit their new, altruistic, enslaved world. This involves the highest level of spell casting used to cast out enchantments through the seed groups and cultural mountains of influence, so the people enjoy a wild ride into perdition. This fits, I'm going to end this here, and this fits with H.P. Blavatsky's 6th root race stage that begins in the latter part of the 5th root race stage where we're at now. And the 6th root race stage teaches compliance to the new ideas of a collective altruistic government led by an elite, wealthy, enlightened hierarchy, as I mentioned earlier, at the top of this pyramid, as I showed earlier, that they live high on the hog, illuminating the Luciferian light to the rest of us. And that's what they're doing. I'm not kidding. And so they're getting ready for that. And the transition from the 6th root race stage to the 5th root race stage, that transition to the 5th or 6th root race stage, you're going to see a glorification of androgyny like you have never seen before, where it will have to be worshipped. Are you seeing any of that? Where did I get this? Where did it come from? It's come from this stuff. So stay tuned for next time when we get into the part 2 of this. We take a deeper dive into this stuff. And I just wanted today as an introduction in part 8, part 9 will be part 2 of this, or 8. This is part 8. AA, and 8B will be tomorrow, hopefully. And I want you to think about that really hard and heavy, because I want to get into some deeper stuff. I want to show you how they do it, how they lay it out. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. Hallelujah. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'll see you next time. But before we end, I want you to look at this. My contact information is there, email information. If you want to support me, all the information's there. My 2 books are there that help me as well. I don't ask for money, but if you want to support me, buy my books, Heaven Beckons, A Land Unknown. Just pray those books get back up there. And if you want to support on PayPal, that's up to you and God. I don't ask for money or anything like that, or beg for money. I never send out emails for asking for money. I'll never solicit anybody with a phone call asking for money. And anyone does, let me know so we can put a stop to it, because that's happening with all kinds of ministries and so forth. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this. Just take a brief moment here to conclude with this. I hope you enjoyed this show and you like it, okay? And I'm just going to go to the live chat real quick. Don't have many people live chatting here. Faith in His Grace says it is the same. Demonic spirits like Baal in the Bible are here in America now. Absolutely correct. And then you have the child sacrifice thing. And I have this in my notes. I didn't get to them. They'll be in the next part. Their objectives are to steal, kill, and destroy. Remember? Chop up, chop up, chop up. God's order and design. Bring Jesus back down to earth through chaos so they can defeat the demiurge. You're not going to defeat them. No. Well, with that, I want to go ahead and close, and I hope to see you next time. So stay tuned for the next installment of this deeper dive. I hope you enjoyed this. And when I go into section part 8B, just know you have to watch A